Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Colleen. I'm with Shine On Yoga. I have Sam here with his butterfly toy and Fritz who's getting ready to take it away from him. So this yoga practice is pet friendly, child friendly, whoever's around. This practice today is going to be, it's a pretty just simple practice. We're not going to do anything too crazy. We are going to flow a little bit and just stretch everything out. But there's no super crazy pretzel-y type poses. So if you're a beginner, this is a perfect practice. Yeah, you keep messing that up, sir. All right, if you have any props that you'd like to use for practice, you're more than welcome to go grab them before we start. They are not required. If you're a beginner, they're just helpful tools, but I'm going to do it completely without any props, so that way you can see what it looks like with modifications if needed, and you don't have any. If you do have props, some that I would recommend for today's practice are yoga blocks, a bolster, maybe a blanket, but again, they're not required. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to start in a nice comfortable seat of your choice. You can sit up on a bolster, you can sit up on blankets, anything like that, just to lift the hips up a little bit if you're a little tight in them. Again, if you don't have those things, don't worry. You can just sit on the ground where you're at. Those of you on the live, thank you so much for the hearts. I can't really see your comments from back here, but I can see the hearts occasionally, so thank you. All right, and once you find your comfortable seat, let's take a moment here just to set our pin, drop whatever you were doing earlier today. If you just got off of work or maybe you've been running around, we'll put that to the side, put your to-do list away. We're going to use this time just to focus on you. And we're not going to spend a ton of time here, so that way you can still get on with your life. So we're just going to start by taking some nice big inhales and exhales. Soften through your jaw. If your face is all scrunched up, if your brow is furrowed, go ahead and relax the forehead. Soften through the shoulders. Let those shoulder blades grow heavy down your back. And if it feels safe, you can close the eyes, or if not, you can just soften your gaze. If you'd like to set an intention, you're more than welcome to for this practice. But if you're not feeling it today, that's okay too. All right, let's take one more big inhale together. And then exhale, let it go. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly blink them open. We had a Fritz come in to visit while we were doing that. If you don't have a dog on you, then go ahead and start transitioning to a nice tabletop position. Here we go. Now we can move a little bit. All right, so we're going to transition to this nice tabletop position. Knees underneath your hips, hands underneath your shoulders here. Nice flat back, your feet can just be flat on the mat, really digging into it. And we're going to start warming up through the spine with a really nice spinal flexion move that I love. It is called cat-cow. If you know it, you can take it away. If you're not familiar with it, then you can come with me. So on an inhale, we're going to drop our lower ribs, lift our heart and our chest, lift our tail, look forward. Really feel that stretch through the front body. And then on the exhale, we're going to round through the spine, tuck the tail, tuck the head. Really feel that stretch through your back body as you press away from the mat. Inhaling, coming back into cow pose, feeling that nice stretch through the front body. Exhaling it back into cow or cat. Go ahead and do a few more just on your own inhales and exhales, really feeling how the pose feels in your body today. We'll do one more round, so we'll go through a round of cow, and then one last cat pose. And after that cat pose, we'll return back to our nice tabletop position. From here, let's go ahead and bring our knees as wide as the mat, big toes to touch. Inhale, look forward. And then as you exhale, we'll sink our hips back towards our heels. Walk your fingertips forward. Let your chest and your head rest on your mat as we move into extended child's pose. Take a moment here just to relax and to breathe. After your next exhale, slowly look forward. We're going to make our way back up into our tabletop position. So bring your knees in line with your hip points again. Hands underneath the shoulders. And then once you're there, if your hands are underneath your shoulders, we're going to walk them out, just one handprint in front of where they were. So they won't be quite directly under them. And if you are already there, that's perfectly fine. We're going to tuck our toes under, take an inhale breath just to prepare. Then on your exhale, lift those knees up off the mat, press through the mat, straighten through the legs, let your heels grow heavy. Let your head just rest in between your hands as we move into a nice downward facing dog, our first one. Now this first one, we're going to be pretty fluid about it. We're going to walk our dog, so bend one knee and then the other, really feeling that stretch through your calf muscles, just back and forth. We're going to play with this later, but our feet will be still, I guess I should say, when we're in it. All right, from here, go ahead and straighten through the legs. Let those heels grow heavy. We'll look up towards the top of the mat, and we're going to make our way up towards this front piece of it. So how you do that is completely up to you. You can take little baby steps, you can take crisscross steps, you can take one giant step if you'd like. We're going to come all the way up to the top, slight bend in the knees. Inhale, come up halfway, keep a nice flat back. And then exhale, let it go, forward fold. Now this pose, if you're finding this difficult, you can use blocks here to bring the ground up to you. If you don't have blocks, then just bend your knees as generously as you need to just feel stable in this posture. If your hands don't touch the mat, that's okay. You can just have them somewhere on your body, on your legs. You're going to breathe here. You should feel a nice stretch through your hamstrings. And if you bend your knees more, you're going to feel it more in your back. The straighter they are, the more you're going to feel it in your hamstrings. Let's take one more big breath here. And then on our exhale, we'll start to roll it all the way up until we're standing. So we'll just come up. You can loop the shoulders up, back, and down. You can shake out the feet if you need to, make any adjustments. And then once you feel like you can stay still for a few moments, go ahead and bring it into stillness, standing up nice and straight and tall, hands at your side, mountain pose. Take some nice big inhales and exhales here. just getting off the wrists a little bit. All right, on our next inhale, let's reach up towards the sky. Exhale, we'll send it all back down. On your inhale, come up halfway, flat back. Exhale, let it go, forward fold, and we'll pause here and just feel it out while we breathe. All right, wherever you're at in this forward fold, make sure that your hands are planted on the mat. So if you're using blocks, you might want to put them just to the side and then bend those knees and bring your hands to the mat. We're going to step our left foot back and then go ahead and lower onto the knee. We're going to come into a nice low lunge here. So in this low lunge, you might have to get yourself set up. Front knee should be at a nice 90-degree angle, so your knee shouldn't be going too far forward. Shouldn't be clear back here, so just a nice 90-degree angle. You might have to walk that left foot back just to get into that positioning, and then make sure that your feet are on separate train tracks, not on a tightrope. Chest nice and lifted, looking forward. Again, you can use blocks here to bring the ground up to you, or if you don't have blocks, you can always just rest your hands on your thigh and come up a little bit higher if you would like to. Finally, pull that right hip crease back, left hip crease forward, look forward, breathe. Feeling that nice big stretch in our legs. Okay, from here, go ahead and plant that left palm down. We'll tuck those left toes under, lift that left knee up off the mat, and then we're going to spiral our chest towards our right leg as we lift our right arm up towards the sky, coming into a nice twist. And breathe here. After your next exhale, we'll lower that hand to the mat. Step your right foot back to meet the left, and we're in our first plank pose. Now, you can come to your knees if you'd like, coming into a half plank. If you're up in a full plank, really press away from the mat, push back through the heels. Make sure your hips aren't dipping down. Make sure they're not coming up. Just one straight line. And keep breathing here. We have a few planks today, not a ton. And then finally on your next exhale, so we'll take an inhale here, and then exhale, let's lower all the way down to the belly. You can belly flop if you'd like. Untuck those toes. Let your head rest for just a moment. Whew. All right, from here, let's tuck our elbows into the side, hands underneath our shoulders. And on our next inhale, let's just peel our nose and forehead up and look forward. Coming into a little baby cobra, warming up the upper back here. One more breath here. And exhale, we'll lower our forehead back down to the mat. All right. Now we're going to move back into another downward facing dog. So you can either go through all fours in your tabletop and then go into your downward dog, or you can come with me. I'm going to show you another version. So we're all going to meet in downward facing dog. If you're coming with me, let's tuck our toes under, take a nice big inhale. And then on your exhale, we'll press away from the mat, come up to your plank once again. Another big inhale here. And as you exhale, we'll lift our hips up and back, coming into our downward facing dog. This time, we'll keep our feet still, really press away from the mat, feel that length in the back of our legs and through our spine. Just taking a little rest here. All right, side two. Go ahead and plant that right foot on the mat. Make sure it's nice and steady there. On an inhale, we'll lift those left toes up. Keep the leg in line with the hip, so you don't need to go clear up here or anything. So just nice and lined, toes pointed down. Exhale, bend through that knee, shift forward, look forward, and we'll step that left foot in between our palms. You can lower onto that right leg, untuck the toes, low lunge on the other side. Chest nice and lifted, make sure to breathe. All right, when you feel ready, we'll plant that right palm, tuck those right toes under, lift the right knee up, and we'll move into a twist on the opposite side, lifting our left hand up to the sky. Breathe here. After your next exhale, we'll lower that hand back down to the mat, and we'll step our left foot back to meet our right, coming back into our second plank, or again, you can lower to the knees and come to a half plank. Yogi's choice. One more inhale here. Exhale, lower down to the belly. On your next inhale, rise up into a little baby cobra. Or if you'd like to grow it a little bigger, press through the hands and come up a little taller. Breathe here. When you're ready, we'll lower it back down and I'll meet you in our downward facing dog. Right, once you're in downward facing dog, take a moment here just to breathe, to shake the head and neck out. Let that little sequence go. We're not going to come back to it. And then after your next exhale, look up at your hands. We're going to make our way back up to the top of the mat, coming into a nice forward fold again. Once you reach the top of the mat on your inhale, come up halfway flat back. Exhale, let it go. Breathe. On your next exhale, go ahead and slowly roll it up. We'll come into our mountain pose. Just take a moment to feel nice and grounded with the earth. Catch your breath. Feel that rush of blood going the opposite way. All right, so I'm going to turn to face you guys. Now you can stay where you're at if you'd like. We're going to stretch out our sides a little bit. So on an inhale, reach your arms up to the sky, and I'm going to grab my left wrist with my right hand. So we'll take a nice inhale here, and then on the exhale, I'm just going to cross that midline, coming over to the right, feeling a nice stretch in my left side body. And just breathe here, stretching out the sides, stretching out that hip flexor on the left side. One more breath here. And then we can return to center. We'll switch our hands. Take a nice big inhale to prepare. And then exhale, we'll come across to the left side, stretching out the right side. And breathe here. One more big inhale. And then exhale, we'll return to center. You can lower the hands down, maybe give it a shake. Shake it off. All right, I'm gonna come back to the top of my mat. And then once we're at the top of our mat, let's step our left foot back, but not completely all the way. So just about halfway. And we may have to play with this a little bit and workshop it, but that's okay. We're gonna make sure our base is nice and correct and that we're not gonna injure ourselves. So we're moving into a warrior one. So in warrior one, our front leg is gonna be bent in that nice 90-degree angle, like we did earlier in our low lunge. We're gonna turn our hips the best we can to the front edge of the mat. Now, depending on your hips, it may not completely go, and that may not feel good in your body. That's okay, don't press it. Really listen to your body. That's how we avoid injury. Press into your back foot, that left back edge, so this knife edge of your back foot. You're gonna press into that, and you can see my foot's a little bit angled towards that left front corner of the mat. Now, if this leg is not parallel, that's okay. Mine's not either. Just make sure that your knee isn't going too far forward and it's not extending back. One last point, make sure you can see your big toe. If you can't, press that knee to the outer side of your mat. From here, you'll just stand up nice and straight and tall. Hands can be just resting on your hips. They can be in prayer at heart center, or you can lift them up to the sky. And then from here, we're just going to imagine we're pulling our mat apart. So our left hip crease is going to come forward, right hip crease back, and we're going to breathe here. Let's take one more big breath here. And then exhale. If your hands aren't lowered, you can lower them. We'll step back up to the top of the mat. Give that right foot a shake because it might be a little bit tight now. And then we're going to do side two. I won't give as many instructions, so just play with it and see. So we'll come back to our mountain, and then this time we'll step back with our right foot. So make sure your foundation is set up so that way you're safe. So 90-degree angle on the front. This back foot is going to be turned in a little bit, hips pointed straight, and then you get to choose your hand placement. And then once you're in your version of Warrior One, take a few moments here just to breathe and to feel that stretch in the legs, in the back, in your sides, in your arms. This is a really powerful pose. All right, when you're ready, if your hands are up, we'll lower them. Everyone will step up to the top of the mat. Take a few breaths here in mountain. Just resetting. All right, so we are letting Warrior One go. We'll all come, or if you'd like to, you can come to the long edge of your mat like I am just for our next pose. Otherwise, you can stay at the top. Whatever you choose, we're going to bring the feet out nice and wide. We're going to stand up nice and straight and tall. And we're moving into star pose. Star pose is a really great just posture and action for if you're feeling a little unsure, if you need a little confidence boost, if you're going into a meeting or something that you're a little stressed out about, this can help bring up that confidence. So feet nice and wide, really press on those outer edges of it. We'll bring one hand out long and away, and then the other hand out long and away. So we're basically like a 5-point star here. Head and our arms and our legs here. So take up space, breathe into your body. One more big breath here. And then exhale, we'll lower our hands back down. Let's go ahead and make our way back to the top of the mat. We're gonna come back down and start cooling it off now. So your next inhale, let's reach up to the sky. And then exhale, forward fold. Your next inhale, come up halfway flat back. Exhale, let it go. Take a moment here just to breathe. This is our final forward fold for practice today. All right, from here we're going to plant our palms. We're going to move into one final plank. This is the last plank of practice, so let's make it our best one. We'll step one foot back and then the other. Again, you can always lower into half plank. We're going to take a moment here just to breathe. Feeling really strong, really connected to our core. If there's a shake in your arm, that's perfect. You are alive. One more breath here. All right, let's lift our hips up and back, coming into our final downward dog of practice. Take a few breaths here. When you're ready, let's lower our knees to the ground. We'll bring them as wide as the mat once again. Big toes to touch. We're going to come back into that extended child's pose like we did at the beginning of practice. So take a little rest. Breathe. Okay, when you're ready, we'll walk it back up. Go ahead and shift your legs over to one side. Bring your feet around so they're in front of you. We're going to go to our backs now. Ooh, got some popping there. All right, so once we're on our backs, go ahead and bend the knees. Place your feet on the mat. Let's lift our left foot up to the sky and then go ahead and cross that left foot over your right knee. Now, if you're already feeling it here, you can stay here. If you'd like a little more, you can lift that right foot up off the mat. Keep your toes nice and bright, so nice and active, and you might feel a bigger stretch in that left leg here. If you want a little more, you can thread the needle, interlace your hands behind your right hamstring. And if you want a little more, you can come across the right shin. So go ahead and pick your position. This is a reclined pigeon pose, so this is going to open up our hips a little bit, especially the outer hip. And we're just going to breathe here for a little bit, just stretching that back out. And then on your next exhale, we'll lower that right foot back to the mat, uncross the left leg from the right, and we're going to go to the other side. So right leg up towards the sky. We'll go ahead and cross that over our left leg. And then again, you can pick your position. Foot on the mat at 90 degrees, maybe hands interlaced around the back of the thigh or maybe around the front. And we'll just breathe here. This is one of my favorites for my hips. I do like pigeon too, but this one's kind of nice because you get the back too. All right, when you feel ready, We'll lower that left foot to the mat. You can uncross the right leg from the left. And then from here, you can just windshield wiper your legs back and forth, just kind of shaking them out. And after a few breaths of that, we'll extend one leg out long and away, and then the other. Your hands can come out wide so you're taking up space, or they can be on your body. We're going to move into our final resting posture, which is Shavasana, or the corpse pose. Again, if you're a practiced yogi and you like to use props for your Shavasana, you can go ahead and get yourself set up for that. If you don't have props, all you need is the ground and yourself. But we're going to take this time just to breathe, to cool everything back down. You can take this as a moment to give yourself and your body gratitude for coming to this practice today and working through it. If it feels safe, you can close down the eyes. If not, you can just soften your gaze. And I am going to go quiet for just a moment, just to allow you time to be with yourself and to reflect on your practice. But know that I'm here, I'm holding space for you, and I will guide you out of this final resting posture momentarily. So the card that I pulled today for practice is Dove Spirit, and its message is to be peace. With her peaceful cooing, the gentle Dove Spirit invites you to embrace the energy of peace and allow compassion to warm your heart. You always have the power to generate peace within you. And the appearance of Dove Spirit is a reminder that today and every day is a good day to meditate, to quiet any turbulence within as you embody tranquility above, below, and all around you. Much may be happening to distract you, but you are called to engage it with the heart of a peacemaker, asking yourself, what would peace do? Can you agree to disagree? The peace you seek rises within and spreads out into the world as Spirit sends her messenger to remind you of the beauty of a harmonious existence with all that is. how beautiful and powerful is your compassionate heart? That's a great message. It can be very hard to agree to disagree, but sometimes that's better for our own peace of mind. If you would like to stay in Shavasana, then go ahead and stay as long as time allows. If you need to continue on with the rest of your day, then go ahead and slowly start to deepen your breaths. When you feel ready, begin to wiggle fingers and toes, just bringing some life back into them. From there, I invite you to place one foot on the mat and then the other, just keeping the knees bent for a moment. And then whenever you feel ready, go ahead and roll onto your favorite side, whichever side is your favorite, and come into a little fetal position and just hang out there for a few breaths. Finally, whenever you feel ready, you can come back up to a nice comfortable seat, bringing your head and neck up last. If your eyes are still closed, you can blink them open to the room around you. So I want to thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. I will have it up on YouTube, the replay, if you are watching it live later on. For those of you watching the replay on YouTube or on my Patreon channel, both the links are in my bio. Then I do go live on TikTok usually every Wednesday afternoon. So if you're interested in joining the live, you can find me over there. And then for those of you on the live, if you'd like to watch the replay, that will be available on my Patreon and YouTube account. Links for those are in the bio. Again, I want to thank you so much for spending your time and your energy and your yoga practice with me today and with anybody else that practiced with us now and in the future. I hope you have a wonderful rest of August, and we'll see you later. I hope you have a great September. Namaste.